Alright guys, to finish up I'm just going to show some quick physics simulation, how we can add real life properties to our objects and stuff, just to kind of close up. So I'm going to Shift A and bring in a sphere. And I'm just going to drag this up here. So I'm just going to give this affected by gravity and stuff, so we want to have some kind of a floor. So that'll do. Just lift that up there. So again, there's 10 million ways to add properties of physics and whatnot. The one I'll show you now is, again, T for toolbox. Open that up, and under physics we have a few different options here. So it's called the rigid body tools section. Any object that becomes an object affected by gravity and whatnot is called a rigid body. So we have two different types of rigid bodies, active and passive. Active are objects that will fall and generally be affected by gravity. Passive objects will not be affected by gravity, but they will affect other objects, so that's kind of perfect for a floor. So I'm going to click on the sphere, and over in the physics I'm going to click add active, and you see when I do that it gets a little green highlight around it. And so if I was to hit play now, and it goes straight through the floor because I haven't added the floor yet. So I'll click on the floor, and if I added that as an active now, it would fall as well. So I'll add passive, and now press play again, and it just plops down onto it. So at the moment, it doesn't. I haven't changed any of the properties of it. So I'm going to come over here to my properties editor. And at the very end, we've got like this little icon for, it's like a ball just bouncing. So that's our physics tab. That's where we make all the changes to all things physics. So with my object selected, I can scroll down in here, and somewhere in here, yeah, we've got surface response and all these kind of things. So we've got friction and bounciness. So just for the sphere, I'm going to turn down the friction, turn up the bounciness. For the floor, I'll do the same. And we'll see what happens now. Oh, it just teleported. Yeah, now we got a little bouncy ball. Slightly bouncy. And you see, and if we grab it and let it go, we can actually, bye. So that just, yeah. So, yeah, like as we're running a physics simulation, we can grab the objects and drag them around and all that. So to make this a little more interesting, I'm gonna stick a modifier onto this sphere called the array modifier. This is simply, it makes duplicates in whatever pattern we want. So at the moment it's 2. See if I, now because I'm in the middle of the physics simulation, that's totally messed that up. So what I'll do, there we go. Quickly bring in a sphere and make that an active object. And again, I'll change its properties, turn down the friction, up the bounciness. Okay, so now I'll go to my modifiers, add the array. So at the moment it's just adding one line across. If I add a few more, you see it just kind of, it's just for duplicating and creating more. I've one array on, now I'll add another array modifier, but I'll change which direction it's going. Actually I'll change it here. That's great. And I'll add one more array modifier, and you see, as we adjust, we can really do a lot of things. We can also animate this. You can get some very cool patterns and whatnot. Very easy to do. So that's gone up. Yeah, that'll do anyway. So we've just got a load of these objects here, which we'll try and have them bounce around. So I'm going to apply all my arrays. So now they're all gone. And if I was to play now, because it's an array modifier, they're just all stuck together as one object, and they're acting quite weird. So I want to select the object, go into edit mode, and with everything in it selected, we can press P to separate, and one of the choices there is by loose parts. So any object that's not connected to another object is going to separate it into its own object. So click on loose parts, and now they're all a separate object. But if I press play, woo, we get a very funky going on. What's happening there is, because the original object I made was down here, so if you see, if I click on every single one of these, you'll see the actual cursor remains down here. Each object's pivot point is down there, so it doesn't actually, it doesn't know its center is in its center. It's they're all going like that. So you can see this is the kind of point here. When I press Alt A, they all kind of try and go around it. So what we want to do is select all those objects, and then the super combo shortcut, Control Alt Shift C. It's like a Street Fighter combo, and that brings up your set origin. So we want to set our origin to geometry, and now you see I got all these little points here in the center of all those objects, and Alt A. Whee. And yeah, that's kind of the idea with those. So just a real quick look at that, and another one I'll just show you is the smoke simulator in Blender. So to make a smoke or a liquid simulation, we need at least two objects, one to act as a kind of a fish tank to hold the effect, and the other as a kind of a tap to pour the effect into the scene. So I'm going to bring in a cube and make that just that size and fine. So this is going to be like the container for it to happen in, and then I'm just going to bring in anything at all. Sphere is fine. So I'm going to use the sphere to pour smoke out into the scene, and the cube is going to act as a fish tank for it to happen in. So again, we go over to our properties editor into the physics tab, and here we have all the different choices and whatnot. We can make fluid simulations and whatnot. I would do a fluid one, but it actually takes quite a while for them to kind of render, because for example, in a fluid, if it pours down and pours over here, it has to create a separate mesh for every single frame that happens. So every single frame is an actual object that it just kind of spits out and looks like a simulation. So I'm going to select the sphere, and over here one of the options is smoke. I'm going to click on smoke, and now we've got all the different choices for that. So as I said, I want the sphere to pour the smoke into the scene, so that'll be a flow object. And then I'll select the box, which actually I think that was the box. Alright, so I have the box selected. That's going to be the domain. So think of that as the fish tank, domain, the container. Then I will select the sphere, click smoke, and flow. And now if I hit play, we get some smoke. And if we move this around, now this is the most basic the smoke is like. It's actually very impressive. 3D Max so far doesn't even have a fluid, a standard fluid system that runs with it. Maya does. Maya's 5,000 something to buy. Max is 2.5, maybe 3,000, and it doesn't actually have one yet. So this is the most low resolution kind of smoke you can get. This is using a new kind of technology called voxels. It's been around quite a while. In fact, you all know it from Minecraft, all the little blocks. This is kind of a very similar thing to that. Rather in the kind of olden days, and still used today, but if we had like a fire in a video game, what you're seeing is just what they're called sprites. They're just simple flat shapes, and they just move, and they're always facing your camera. So no matter where you go, you've probably noticed that at some point you might have, if you're walking around, you might notice smoke seems to kind of follow you or whatever, or even the grass in older games. You know, if you kind of move around, you'll kind of see that it's always kind of looking at you and whatnot. Creepy. So, but this new technology, it's actually like we break up the grid into tiny little bits, like in Minecraft, and so for the first time we can actually have these particles bounce off each other, interact with each other in all kind of different ways. So another quick thing I'll bring in is I'll just bring in a cylinder and just bring that in. So if I want to introduce this into the simulation, again, I'll click the cylinder, smoke, and this time I'll make this a collision object. And if I slide that in, you'll see it actually reacts quite well. Woo! Yeah. It's just entertaining to me. It's great though. Woohoo! And this again, you can switch on the advanced smoke and stuff, but I'm not going to do that because it's going to slow everything down. And before I close that out, you see over here we have smoke color, so we can animate this. So let's go frame 0. I'll make this a very nice blue, and I'll right click on that option, insert keyframe. We scroll on to maybe frame 40. Let's make it a delicious yellow. Insert keyframe. I'll scroll on to maybe 70. It doesn't really matter, I'm just guessing. I'll make that green. Insert a keyframe. Scroll on to 100. Oh, make it red or pinky. Insert keyframe, and I'll do one more. What color should the last one be?
Green.
Green. That's crazy. Smoke's not green. And hopefully if I rewind this, yeah, smoky rainbow. So this is like the most basic, it's the easiest thing. You need 2 objects and you guys can do this and have a load of fun with it. And this isn't even getting into any of the advanced features of it. The flow type, for example, it's just on smoke there. We can switch that to fire and smoke, and now the object has some fire on it, which is kind of groovy. And yeah, you can change things like the flame rate. You can change how turbulent it is, and we can also bring in like wind, all that kind of stuff. Generally everything you could kind of wish to think for or want. Surface. Yeah, we have like initial velocity, so you can see it kind of gives it a bit more power. Switch that up. You just hop in and just kind of mess around with these things. You can actually change the temperature as well, and that'll affect kind of how it affects other things. Oh, ooh. So yeah, and that's quite. You can actually kind of see there. If I was to pause that, you can almost see the kind of tiny little. It's a little bit blocky. It's actually quite. It's not so bad. But it is at the very kind of low resolution. So when you start turning that up, it's gonna ask more from your computer and whatnot. It's definitely good to have a good bit of RAM in your computer. 4 has been the standard for a while, but it's kind of starting to push now to kind of 8 gigs of RAM. RAM is very cheap and whatnot, but just sometimes if you don't already have it in your computer, it's just a bit of a headache to start thinking about kind of adding things to it. But it just depends on what's going to be in your scene. Yeah, so that's kind of all the bits on Blender. It's a real rough kind of quick intro and stuff. So from that into Unreal, this is a next-gen video game creation software, I guess. It's a video game engine. As of March, it's been released for free. It was on a €20 subscription, and now it's free. They just thought, you know what, when you guys make money, we'll make money, kind of thing. If you do make a video game with it and you are actually selling it and whatnot, if you make over 3,000 in your in the quarter of the year, you have to give them 5%, which really isn't bad when you kind of see how much Unreal, what it can do, and what it can. It's amazing. Like, it's leaps and bounds over other ones I've seen. So this is just a demo that comes with it. I'm just going to demonstrate how you can do that. It's around a 5 gig download. I thought it was 11 gigs, but turns out I don't think it is. It's around 4 or 5 gigs. But when you unzip it and install it, it's going to and it's going to take up about 12 gigs or so. And then, depending on when you start adding projects and building stuff, it can eat up 50 to 60 gigs very quickly. So you do want to make sure you have a good bit of space there for it. But it's relatively simple to use. Again, I mean, you just need to give it a little bit of time to kind of get into it. But this is running now on my computer. My computer isn't a top of the line one. It's pretty good. But Unreal has particles, liquids, everything. So this would have been modeled in a program similar to Blender, Max or Maya. And then all the effects and whatnot can be actually built in Unreal itself. And yeah, it's kind of built more for, you can't make games for the 360 and older gen games, consoles. It's specifically for PC, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and all the phones, Android, and all that kind of shenanigans. Yeah, so you have copied infos across from data links in text documents straight there. For Unreal, you just have to register an email account, and that's all they ask from you. So you just have to sign up, make an account, and then you can get your download. And yeah, then that's yours. So that's a quick look at that. So I'll start a new, let's see, I'll do a new project. So when you first open Unreal, you get all these different templates to start you off. Definitely use the templates. If you're making a first-person shooter, use the first-person shooter template. Everything will work straight out. The controller will work with all your controls straight away, and it's a fantastic place to start. Then as you start to learn more, you can kind of go, well, now I want to build my own walk-in system or whatever, so you can actually just delete out whatever bits they had in it and swap them out. So I'll just click on, the first person shooter, and that's Blender. Hi Blender. Let's see. Okay, real quick. Yeah, I'm back in Blender now, just in case you didn't see a switch happen there. I nearly missed it. No. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly sculpt out a bit of an area just to kind of import into Unreal. Switch off that. So nothing too major. Right, so just a simple mesh object there, and I will stick on a modifier and remesh, switch that to blocks, something like that. Okay, so with that object I'm going to go, with that selected, so I'm going to go to export as an FBX. FBX is the format that you'll most be using swapping between programs. Also now I should have checked the scale on that, but I'm just going to wing it now because we're a little short on time. but generally what I actually do is if you go into the Unreal Marketplace, you can download levels, you can download vehicles and stuff. They have a character there built, so it's a brilliant template to download, bring into Blender, and now you've got a figure which you can kind of scale everything off. But yeah, I'm not going to worry about that now. Call this super awesome level and save that. Now switch over to Unreal again. Yep, so this is just the first person template. And again, you can move around your editor straight away without doing anything. You can like zoom in and stuff. It's really slick, to be honest. Right, so in Unreal, I'm gonna click import, go to desktop, super awesome level, and I'm just gonna kind of leave these. Hopefully it'll come in some kind of now, so let's see what happens. So down here, this is your content browser. This is all your stuff. Oh yeah. Now that's a little bit too big, but so that's just the. Oh no, it's not. It's just it was close to the camera. Close, far away. That's actually tiny. So scale it up. Now, I want to be able to actually get onto it, so I'm just going to delete one of these walls out. And just going to slide this down so we can actually walk onto it. Yeah, that'll do just fine. So if I was to try and go onto that now, I'll click play. Just turn that down. So, right, so this is the basic first person template that's set up just straight away from them. You can shoot out these little balls and just test out your physics and whatnot. So it's all good. So this is our object here. If I was to try and hop onto it, I can't. Yeah, there's still when you first bring in an object, it's Unreal is going to like wrap it. If you imagine wrapping it in like cling film, and then it's going to use that cling film as the physical kind of collision object. So to change that, what we want to do is actually change it so it's using the actual mesh as what you can walk on and stand on. So we double click on that object, and now it brings it up in another new shiny window for you guys to learn. Woo! And there you can kind of see now what I was talking about, that this is what Unreal thinks the object is basically. So I'll select that, and over here in collision complexity, I'm going to switch that to use complex collision. Now you'll see that disappears. Save that there, and should be able to close this. And now, hopefully, should be able to walk on our new geometry, which we just made. Hooray! So that's a real kind of simple way to get something like Minecraft going. And it all works properly with the physics and all that kind of shenanigans. Yeah. Any questions on that? On the first person thing? All good? And to close up, I'll just open up the vehicle. So yeah, we've got flying, puzzle, rolling, side scroller. Unreal actually has its own 2D, I can't remember now what it's called, 2D workshop or something, specifically for making 2D games. They have a really cool one. They have loads of games online to download for the engine, and like it's used mainly the new Batman games. They've all been made with Unreal. The Gears of War series started on Unreal. It was one of their flagship kind of projects. So yeah, I'll just click on Vehicle Advanced. Don't save. And just let that load up. Is there anything else, Cathal, that I'm forgetting? Anything? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, I'll do a quick before I go. But yeah, this is just an advanced vehicle template. So again, press play, and it just kind of works straight away. So it's a great kind of test to start off. And Unreal has its own, similar to the sculpt tool in Blender, it's got a landscape tool, which is pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah, it's just here. It's pretty much the same thing as the sculpt tool. You can kind of pull up and push down, and in Unreal, it'll actually, you can procedurally texture it so that if you push in like a kind of a wall and it's below a certain degrees, it'll actually turn into a cliff texture. And then the ones that are kind of more flat and facing upwards, they can be grass or whatever, dirt or something like that. Yeah, so really you can see there, it's the exact same thing, you know, you can just kind of paint onto it. And you can add trees and foliage and all that kind of stuff. So it's very cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really giving them much tutorial on Unreal. I'm just letting you know it's there, it's available for free, it's a great engine. I tried Unity for a while. I think it's personal preference. I just something about Unity, I couldn't really get into it, and when I started using this, it just kind of sang to me. So yeah, and I'm just gonna hop back to Blender and just kind of throw together. If you wanted to make something real simple for 3D printing, let's see. I'll bring in a mesh plane. And I will delete. I'll grab these. Yeah, I will delete those. So now I've just got just one little line here. So we could use this to kind of trace out. There is a better way of doing this, but this will be alright for now. So we could kind of just press E to extrude and start drawing out whatever kind of shape we want, which I have no idea. I was just about to go for something Batman-y, but no, I'm not sure. Did something like that, maybe. Oh, so we've got this totally cool bat symbol. So another modifier we can add here, which sometimes breaks, but let's see. Mirror. Hooray! The mirror modifier is there to basically, if anything is symmetrical, you don't build a whole lot. You'll always just build one side. If you're building a character, a mob in the face or whatever, always build one side. So we've got that, and I will apply that. Now we could maybe hit solidify. Nope. Let's see. Press. So I should be able to select vertices, select all of them, put a face on that, and now I could solidify, turn the thickness up a bit. Now, because I've kind of done it real messy, it's a little bit messy, but it's definitely Batman, right? He kind of looks like he's... But you can go in and edit all those points to whatever you want them to be. You know, you could. Oh yeah. If I hadn't applied, I'll go back. Once you apply your modifier, it's gone. So. I know it's totally broken. So. There you go. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention as well. There's a whole 3D printing tab. Ta-da! More tabs. Down with that sort of thing. Basically, there's an entire tab there to help you with your 3D printing. When you open it up, you can do a check all, and with your object selected, and then down here it's going to tell you all the issues and problems with your model. So for example, I have 33 non-manifold edges. That's because of just the rough way I made this. And if you then go into object mode, you can actually select all those, and it'll kind of tell you, you know, you can grab onto them and then you'll be able to work out what the problem is. For example, those edges are non-manifold because of where I just built this. It's like it's below ground. You want to build your things always on 0 and build them up. But you can check all your angles and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's very handy for the 3D printing. There's also another tab, and it's really cool. Yeah. Is there anything else called? Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, here's a list of some of the best fundamental courses for Blender. There's lots of paid courses, there's lots of free courses. Both of them have bad ones and good ones. These are, well, the last one is the actual Blender website, but the 4 on top are the best that I've found, and I've gone through a lot of them. So 3D Buzz, they have loads of stuff on all programs for the last 10, 12 years or so. But they have a Blender course up there, a full course, 63 videos for free. It's on an older version of Blender, but that's not a big problem. It's still, most features are exactly the same. I had planned to have a video for this, but I will have a video hopefully next week where I'm going to go through and review the 4 courses, and that'll be linked up on my YouTube or 3D Ambit if anyone's interested. So 3D Buzz have some great stuff. Born CG, he's actually in the middle of putting up this course. So far he's got 50 videos up, and it's a really in-depth course. It covers Minecraft rigging, building stuff. He's all about the Minecraft, and but he goes very into depth. He's also just started a course on the game engine in Blender, and those videos are very high quality, and they're all up on YouTube. So Born CG on YouTube. Neil Hersig, this is up on Vimeo. I think you'll just want to Google his name if you want. Again, it's an old course. I think it's from 2013, but the content is brilliant. He's very good the way he teaches. And CGMasters.net, again, they're just in the middle of putting up a course. They've only got 4 videos up so far, but everything they do is really good quality. They also have a lot more free stuff on their website and paid stuff. And then Blender.org. The manual for Blender is great. It's full of stuff. And just Blender.org. There's just a massive community for Blender, and you'll find everything you need up there. And go blending, you know. Is there any questions or anything, guys? I think that